Okay? I mean same lah. Yeah, same time. Okay? Okay, over to you, PJ. Rolling.
Okay. Right, you guys ready?
Yep.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Society TV Season 2. It's real, it's raw, it's relevant. So glad to be here. Looking forward to another season. I don't know, another episode for today for sure. With some of my friends here, I have with me Society TV, now also available as a podcast in case you did not know. But first, let me get the introductions out of the way. I'm John. Those of you who know me. If you don't, check out season 1 or just look me up social media, whatever. But I got a couple of friends here with me today. We're online, we're distant, but we're not disconnected. We've got this wonders of technology still making this space work. I'm gonna just introduce my friends one by one who are here with me on this episode. First up, I'm gonna get the newbie to say something about himself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Richard. Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, hi, thanks Pastor John. Alright, hello everybody. So my name is Richard and perhaps some of you know me and some of you don't. So if you don't know me, a long time ago when dinosaurs were around, I was in Narrow Street. But that was a really long time ago. And I'm currently working. I've been working for about 4 years now. And based on my name, I guess you can tell I love Manila. Yeah.
Wow,
that's his opening joke.
That's big brain energy to actually get that joke. Do we need to explain it, or you think we're good?
I think it's quite self-explanatory. I hope so.
Yeah, if you don't get a joke, just think of the name Richard and stare at it really like intently and look to the left a little bit. You might see something. But cool, thanks Richard. Over to you guys. Shaun, Leanne, introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Shaun. I am the youth director of Narrow Street and Friends of Society, and I love money. I really like money.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Leanne and I'm one of the CG leaders at Society and I love shopping. Hence why I'm here. I'm a shopaholic and I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Wow, cool. Well, I think it's pretty self-explanatory what we are, what today's episode is about. You know, we are going to be talking a little bit about, money is the main thing, but I think we're going to be talking about the realities that come around with it. But maybe let me just throw you guys an opening question to each and every one of you. Yeah. So all of you are already working, and I think for some of you guys, you've just started working, and some of you a little while. Richard, how long have you been working?
About 4 years now. Yeah.
4 years. Wow. Shaun, how long have you been working?
It's my second year.
Second year, and I think that's the same. Leanne, is that the same for you as well?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, cool. So let me ask you guys this one thing. Transitioning from life as a student to the working world and adult, what is one thing that you wish you had known, or one thing that you realized as you were making that transition? If that makes sense. Maybe it's like you didn't realize things would be so expensive or whatever. Yeah.
And anyone go first, or should I go for this one? All right,
Richard,
I'll start us off. I think for myself, one thing I didn't realize as much was how competitive it is out there. I came from a school where I was one of the top students, best at everything kind of environment. And then when I hit the working world, I'm like, I see top students from every other school who are way better than me at doing everything, way more competent, and the people I'm surrounded with are super capable. And then you realize like, I thought I was quite good already, and like, but then when you enter the working world, it kind of hits you lah. Like, actually, there's a lot to learn. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting insight there. How was that? How did that kind of like how did it affect you personally, or in a way, like, did you just feel that you had to that you couldn't be complacent, you just had to, up your game, or you had to work harder, that kind of thing? How did that affect you when you started having that realization?
I think I needed like a change in mindset a little bit. So when you're in university, perhaps some of you have heard this before. Like when you're in university, you are paying to study, but when you're at work, people are paying you to do work. So it's a very different thing altogether. The way I managed it is probably just asking for help from whoever I could, wherever I worked. Yeah.
Yep. That's interesting. Yep. And I think in the working world, as well, competitiveness can be, it's kind of like, for most of us, we, if we want to go, unless we're really aiming for like an elite university or college, most of the time we wouldn't think, right? We would just go, okay, I want to study this course, I will go for that college, or we have a variety of options. But I think one thing, I'm sure you realize that as well, as we start working, certain positions that we may want, a company can only have so many managers, right? A company can have only so many executives and all that. So yeah, that competitiveness definitely comes out when we start working. But cool. What about you guys, Shaun and Leanne?
Yeah, I think for me, like, there's two things I wish that I learned at least before I started working. One is I wish I did more internships actually, like to gain the experience, because like, yeah, I did work part-time here and there, but I definitely did have a lot of time to do more internships, and I just wish that I did more of that. And I think secondly is I wish that, like, if I could turn back time, that I read a little bit more. Yeah, because knowledge is definitely power in that sense. And yeah, whatever you learn, whatever you read, it will definitely help you later on. Like, it's always applicable in life, like whatever you learn along the way. So I think I just read a little bit more about the things or the world. Yeah, to be a bit more observant to the things around me. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit of why you think having more internships would have helped.
Yeah, I think definitely it would have helped me understand the field of work that I would like to be in more. Because as of now, like, if you tuned in for season 1, the first episode, you would know that I really do love makeup and like skincare and products, right? So I wish that I at least interned in the beauty industry, or like pick up my skills in learning how to do makeup or learning about skincare a little bit more. Not to say that I can't learn it now, but it's just, the feeling of achievement when you actually learn it when you're younger and had so much more time. But now when you're older and working, you just have so much more responsibilities on your plate and things that you actually have to think about and plan towards your future, that you don't really have that space to intentionally go and learn things. Like you have to plan to take out time to learn it. But when you're like studying or like before you start working, you still have a lot of time on your hands in that sense. Yeah, so I think that's why I wished I did more internships, to just kind of like explore different fields and get the feel of it and be like, oh, this is something that I actually do enjoy, or like, oh, this is something that I can eliminate because I realize I really, really don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's... I think that's great, because that's great that you mentioned that early on, because I remember having a lot of conversations with like, young people who are in that space of figuring out what they want to do in life, and even just the whole concept of like taking a gap year and everything like that. I think sometimes we're too much in a hurry to grow up.
Yeah.
We want to get our studies out of the way so that we can start working and earning money and all that. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that, but there is definitely value in taking one step at a time. And that's like, I think that's so true, because for me, now that I'm an adult, been working for more for about 10 years now, when you got responsibilities, obligations, you can't just drop what you want to do or what you're doing, in pursuit of what you thought that you want to do or what you think you want to do. So definitely, as a student, that's great advice.
Yeah, talk about gap years. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk about gap years. I think it's more of a parents thing. I don't know if your parents were chill with you having a gap year.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too.
My parents were just like, you do whatever you want in your life, lah. Like if you all know my parents, they are like, as long as you stay in church, and
so nice.
we're all okay.
Good Christian boy.
Be a good Christian boy. Do whatever you want in your life, and that's the liberty I had. I took 2 gap years. I don't think it's normal to take 2 gap years, and then I had very valuable internships, as Lian mentioned. And so to answer your question, PJ, I don't really like going into the working world. I wasn't really shocked because I had very valuable internships. Like I worked outside. I also worked this like cold call job, the worst job in the world. Hello,
terrible.
sir, is this your address? And then they are like, I don't want to talk to you, bye bye. It was the worst job ever.
Yeah, I had a job. That job as well. Mine was calling people to sign up for gym membership. It's like the worst. It's like you join the gym and they're like, can you write like five numbers or 5 or 10 names down? You get like a 10 ringgit discount.
Nobody likes that guy.
I did that for a while.
But the internships are very valuable. Like I learned how to write emails. My goodness, please learn how to write an email. I learned how to write emails. I learned how to paint wall. I learned how to work in an office environment. So those 2 gap years that my parents graciously gave me was something I wanted also, like, because of the reasons, because I actually didn't know what I want to do in life. Like I was just like, you know what, let's not, like, people were like, I just do something lah, just mass comm. I'm like, what mass comm? Or do business. I'm like, what? So I really took my time, but my parents allowed it lah. So that's the value of gap years and parents with gap years.
I think from from a parent's perspective, sometimes they're not really fond, or they're not really approving of gap years because they have this impression, if whether it's sit or unsit, that they think that you're just going to waste time. But I think if you actually want to take a gap year because you really want to take the time to figure out what you want to do, what's your passion and everything like that, or to just upskill yourself, to get more experience, to learn things, I'm pretty sure most parents would be okay with that. They as long as you show that you have some kind of plan, because that's how I advise.
You don't just say, I want gap year. Like
because a lot of times they would just assume the worst. They think that you're gonna take a year
travel,
off,
find yourself. Yeah. You guys
COVID
don't do
now
that.
you can't travel anymore.
You didn't find yourselves yet.
I mean, to be honest, if you took a gap year to actually go and see the world, so to speak, I mean, not in this climate, right? Not in this season, but that's also kind of like what Lian mentioned, gaining more experience, getting an insight, which is not actually wasted. I mean, if you had the opportunity to do that, great. But I think a lot of times parents are just not in favor of gap years because they think you are just going to waste time or sit on your butt doing nothing. But just thought I mentioned that. I hope that helps someone. Shaun, did you want to say that? What did you wish you knew, or what is one thing that you realize? Now that you're in the working world.
I like I mentioned, when I was in the, like, my internships really helped me. So but definitely there is the value of money. Of, like, how most of us, or whoever that's listening, I would assume most of us lah, like, we are brought up in like middle or upper middle or whatever, wherever in the middle, like, as long as you're not lower, you would have been brought up by your families, and you get to kind of eat whatever you want, and like $15 a meal sounded like, hey, pretty okay, what, $15. But when you're working, $15 is it could be 3 days meal, $5. You try and split it out like that. And so I think when I wish I knew a little bit earlier. I'm still like second year into working, right? A little bit earlier of like the way I spent when I was not earning my own money. That means when I was under my parents' care, cannot be the same way I'm going to spend when I'm earning my own money. Because that that 20 ringgit McDonald's meal could last me like 4 days. It could be a 3-day meal, like $7. Like I split up like that. And then in the long run, these little things it's gonna bite me. So I wish I knew that a little bit earlier and I didn't go out for lunch every day at work. You know, I'm like, hey, okay, well, earning this sum of money, I can spend this sum of money. Like let's say if I'm earning 3K, I can spend 3K in a month. Wow, so much money.
Yeah, it's true because like 20 ringgit. Now if you're thinking about if I have a share from my perspective, 20 ringgit, what is like. It's like food for myself, my wife, and my daughter.
Yeah.
If I go to the coffee shop.
Exactly.
You know?
There's one meal for a whole family. Yeah.
Yeah, but like 20 ringgit a meal, it's
a lot.
yeah. I think like it's also coming down to I've actually talked to a parent before, and this parent was telling me that how he was very sad that his son didn't want to go eat zap fan with him because he feels that zap fan is like, or coffee shop is like lower class.
Wow.
And I think
Beat that kid up.
Who is this kid? We need to have a talk with him.
He needs to find himself.
I'm so genuinely concerned.
yeah, he needs to go. He needs. I don't know. He needs to go somewhere far away to find himself. That's
Please,
right.
if you're listening to this podcast, please reach out to us. We would love to have a conversation with you.
But there's definitely one thing many of us don't actually put a lot of thought into: the value of money and also the cost of things. I think the cost of things, we don't realize that. What do you guys get? Richard, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think Shaun nailed it actually with that one. What you said is similar to a thought I've had recently as well, where it can get a little bit tricky for those of us growing up in middle class families, because we're so used to getting everything that we want. We go to Chili's lah or Manhattan Fish Market, and these are like normal things for us. Our parents pay for our phone lah or our
phone.
Shoes.
Yeah, shoes,
our
jeez.
stuff. Yeah, and the moment you start working, then it's like you have to downgrade from 30 ringgit meals for nice nights out to 10 ringgit or less once you start earning your own money. I think that's a big struggle for a lot of kids coming from middle class families, unless you're rich and then your parents still pay for you even after you start working lah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one thing I learned early, like before I even started working, was the principle, like how to split your income, because like all these YouTube ads, right? They go like, they show you their income and then they're like, you see only one green, everything else is red. So you only get income once a month. And then I think of it, actually, yeah, really, I only get income once a month, and then everything else will be red, outgoing, food, everything like that, right? So it's good to manage your finances once you get into work, because sometimes people get the money, they think like, oh, I got 3K, I will save. I will spend and then we'll see what happens. But very early on, I learned how to split that, like, tithe, savings, how much I'm going to spend on other people, how much I'll spend on myself, how much I'll spend on shopping. So that's one thing to learn about. I mean, we're just talking about money. I already said I love money, I like money. This is the only thing I can think of to manage that, so that you start saving early. That's one thing I wish I learned earlier on, even when I was a kid, on how to save money. Because I was the type that my bottomless one lah. Because I didn't have money in my wallet, I just asked my mom, and she's gracious enough.
Yeah. So you're talking about a budget. I think budget is probably the most basic thing that anybody who should have. Don't even talk about investing or anything like that. You should at least know how to budget and have a budget. But then what's the remedy then? Because I think Richard, Shaun, you talk about like, when you have an allowance, it's kind of like, it's some of us, we don't have fixed allowances. Like Shaun, you mentioned, when you run out of money, you just ask for more, right? Yeah. But that doesn't happen when you start working, right? It's like if you finish your salary, you don't go and tell your employer, hey, I'm out of money. Can you give me an advance on my salary, or can you do that? And then you guys mentioned like, but we are so used to a certain kind of lifestyle, spending our entertainment and our food budget is like, probably there's no budget, we just spend as we please. So what is the and Richard, you mentioned that when you start working, now you have to like downgrade. So what's the remedy for that? Will you guys actually advise young people then to start controlling yourselves now? Like start budgeting now. Don't start learning to eat chap fan and hawker food now, and don't feel that it's low class later on. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think, yeah, I would like to add to what has been said as well. Like, the way that I grew up was actually a little bit different because my parents actually gave me a fixed amount. And the amount that they gave me since like I started getting allowance, I only started getting allowance when I think I was 17 or when I started going to college, like when I was 18. Yeah, because that's when I knew that, I have spending power. I can buy things now. Yeah, but they would usually like just give me enough to buy food and like get by. And they said like, whatever else you want to do with it, you save. But my allowance never really increased until like my third year of uni. So I was like living with like, an example of like maybe 300 ringgit a month. Yeah. And to a lot of people, it's actually very surprising. It's not enough, apparently, but it was just more than enough for me. Wow. And I actually still managed to save about half of my allowance. Yeah, because I would do things like, I'm an advocate for like bringing food from home. Yeah. I'm all about that life, and I'm thankful for my mom. Yeah, for cooking food for me and preparing it for me to bring to wherever I go. Yeah, you can ask Shaun; he can testify about that. Like I always bring food to the office, but. Yeah, I think one advice I would give anybody listening this, like if you're finding it difficult on where to start in terms of saving, start tracking down your expenses first. Like I think tracking them down would help a lot, or like just doing that. After you track, right, you will realize how much money is being put into like spending for food, or like, you're shopping like on Shopee or whatever you're buying, like be it skincare or clothes or whatnot. You actually see where your money is going. And when you can see where your money is going, you'll be really, really shocked. You won't believe that, oh my gosh, this month I actually spent 600 ringgit on food. How did it amount to that? Like that's actually normal, And I'll be like, oh my gosh, it doesn't make sense. But when you look back at your tracking expenses, you'll be like, oh wow, I actually spent like 20 to 30 ringgit going to this cafe and like just spending it on meal and like a coffee. Like it's crazy the amount that you have to spend on for food, because you have to consider tax as well. And tax just makes every single thing more expensive. Yeah, so I think for a start, it would be good to just start tracking, and then you will know how much you should be saving in a month. Yeah, like at least that helped for me a lot when I was like growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Tracking is it. When I started tracking my expenses, it really was a wake up call for me as well. Cause I'm like, wow, do I really spend that much of money on coffee? It's like thinking to yourself, you're like, wow, that's crazy.
Especially those cafes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. I think it's really going to be a wake up call for a lot of people when you, because again it depends on what you believe and what your principle is. When you start working, I think in general, you want to start to be independent. You don't want to be taking money from your parents anymore, but when you also start working, there's also certain realities that you would now face. And I think, Richard, just like you talk about competitiveness in the workplace, there's also, I think, a sense of social competitiveness.
Definitely.
Or you feel like you need to keep up a certain thing. Like, for example, buying a car. You may now feel like, hey, if I have 3,000 ringgit, as a starting pay, if I put 5 to 700 or even 1K to a car loan, it's not that bad. I still got 2K left, right? But actually, if you think about that in the long run, like if you pay like 5, 6, 7, I mean, we're not even talking about a luxury car here. We're talking about something like a standard entry level MyV. What's a repayment of MyV? At least 700 bucks. Yeah, 800 bucks. And then there is that phone. I actually recently only changed my phone. So I'm using a iPhone 12 Pro Max now. I paid something like 6,000 ringgit for this phone.
Jeez.
But before this, I was using an iPhone 7 Plus for like 4 years, four-ish years. And a lot of people was surprised. Why are you still using that phone? Or they make comments like, how come your phone is so old? And these are young people, by the way. And I look at that and I go, now I don't want to sound like I'm like a uncle or I'm like hating on people, but I'm like, why must you change your phone every year? Honestly speaking, if you think about it, why must you change your phone every year? What is the need of having to change your phone every year, all the time, right? So for me, it was just not something that I felt warranted spending. Were there times where I felt tempted to? Yeah, many times. But I can tell you for the past 2-3 years, I've actually talked myself out of buying a new phone because I'm like, why do I need it? Why do I need it? But this time around, I made a decision because my phone was just laggy, and the battery was. But if I'm honest, I could have still gone on with that phone. I just thought, I'll make the plunge now, right? But I think that's one thing that we have to also be so aware that we really need to be content with what we have and not feel like we need to keep up a certain image or certain level. That is actually something I feel like I'm only beginning to learn now. And I'm talking like I'm like 10 years into working already, right? So I could keep going because I'll keep going a little bit because I want to paint a reality, right?
Yeah.
I'm now even thinking about, sending kids to school, and or even having another kid. I'll ask you guys this: how much do you think? Do you know how much it is to actually deliver a baby in a private hospital? Do you all know?
20K was it? Is it 20?
20K, Richard, you guess.
Yeah.
Any other guesses?
I'll guess about that, or maybe even higher, 25, 30.
Yeah, about there.
Yeah.
About there.
Okay, not so much, probably about 10.
Okay.
That's 20 only.
Still a lot,
we do
still a
like
lot.
Because I hear private hospital, I'm just like,
Expensive. Confirm expensive.
cannot.
No, we're thinking about the time when we start having kids. Maybe it'd be 20K by then.
Oh, right. Or
Are
maybe
you
you're
only
planning for
Think about
twins. You planning for twins?
Are you
That
gonna
would be
have kids
ideal. Like
Just
just
come out,
kill 2 birds with one stone, right? Like just one time. But yeah.
Yeah. So and then their education and everything like that. So things cost, and I think we need to have a realization about that. Yeah. Sorry, that's just about me. That's just me going on like a rant on like the
really
value
true.
of money and the things of the way things cost. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like, just sharing a little bit of my experience. Like, this year, I actually have to start paying for my insurance.
oh,
Like,
wow.
if you don't know
painful
if you don't know what your insurance or what an insurance is, like,
Ask Andrew.
start reading. Or like, go hit Andrew Yap up, Soz01.
Andrew Yap,
But
free advertisement for Andrew Yap, estate planner.
You're
as he calls
welcome.
himself.
But yeah, and I think last year when it was my first working year, honestly, I was like on an adrenaline rush because I was like, I'm earning this much now, so much more than I used to. And I was just like on a high. Every month I was like balling. I was just like, this skincare came out, I'm gonna get it. This clothes, so cheap, let me just get it. Like food, I can afford that coffee in a cafe. Yeah, so I was just like, whoa, on like this spending spree. But I still did save, but I was just like, I mean, I still have the privilege of living with my parents and whatnot. So like, yeah, I have the freedom to spend, but sorry,
Whoa, what was that?
I choked on my saliva. Sorry, intermission. But yeah, I think like this, when this year hit, and then my dad like reminded me or like told me, oh, you're actually supposed to pay for your insurance this year. And then I was like, Wait,
I don't
what?
need insurance.
I have Jesus.
My trust and hope is in the Lord.
Yeah, but I was just like, oh man, like it hit hard. It really did, because I'm like, how much then do I have to take out from like my earnings and allocate towards that? And on top of that, like, I mean, I actually allocate to give tithes, and I'm also like giving some money to my parents. So it's like, oh man, if how much I have to give out increases, how much I actually can spend decreases, because I still have to save for my future. So the reality really, really just hit so hard. But I'm thankful that my parents like is giving me that space to slowly start paying for my own things, while they're like still paying for like half of the things that I use around this house. So yeah, like I'm really, really thankful for that. But at the same time, it's tough, man. It's really, really tough.
I think
If I were to put it, sorry, Richard, I was
No
just going to say, if I were to actually summarize it or sum it up, it's as you get older, the needs actually outweigh the wants.
Yeah.
When you're younger, you're only thinking about what you want,
That-
because the needs are taken care of by everybody
That's a good
else.
sum.
But as you get older, you realize more and more needs. That's where if you don't learn to control your wants, the appetite for more, you're gonna really struggle
Yeah.
as you get
Yeah.
older. So yeah, over to you, Richard. Sorry.
No, I'll just add on a quick thing. I think if you're earning, let's say, 2.5 or 3,000, never tell yourself that you're earning 2.5 or 3,000, because in reality, what you're gonna take home is a lot less. Imagine if you're earning 3,000, you pay your tithes, that's $300 gone. You pay your EPF, that's about $400 gone. If you don't know what EPF is, I suggest you start reading up on it. So you might think your salary is 3,000, but the moment your EPF goes out, you have 2.6 left. And you pay your tithes, and then at the end of the day, you got insurance too, you got car maintenance too. If you have a car, you got to pay for your maintenance costs. Things like that really do add up, and at the end of the month, you might have 1K left to spend on your meals and everything else that you want. So never tell yourself like, I'm earning 3K, I'm rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, that's the needs. The needs increase, right? I think there's a lot of cost into also certain things that we don't see or we don't think about. Like for example, a car. You when you think of a car, you only think of how much the car costs when you first buy it. But actually, a car also costs. As it continues, it's a liability. This word liability.
Yes.
It's not like it because you gotta pay for petrol, and on top of that, you gotta service the thing.
Maintenance is
For
insane.
heaven's sake, please service your car. I actually know people who have not serviced their car for like 2 or 3 years. And
Wow.
like to me that's shocking, right? Tires cost eventually and all that. So parking, so all these things cost, and we just have to be very conscious of that. So for me, it's the one. I know some of us may need a car, but do you actually need that brand new sparkling car? Right? You may not, right? Or if there's other alternatives. There's used cars, right? Or there is just using hand me down from your parents or something like that, right? So these are ways and things that we can do to help ourselves.
Yeah, I think a lot of this has, like what you said, PJ, earlier, it was about the social status and also what Lian talked about, saving, about future. If you get that car now or whatever, car, house, shoes, whatever it is, now you might look swanky right now, but 10 years down the road, you're going to regret that decision you made now. Because when you talk about money, you talk about sustainability. Not that you can't buy the things now. Actually, in your power, like Richard said, in your power, 3K a month, if you want to spend that 1K right now, go that 3K after you pay, like you choose not to pay your tithes, but EPF they'll just take away, kind of thing. And you spend the 2.5K you have now. You know what? You can actually do that. But your future self will kick you in the face if he or she could. So I think that's the thing, the instant gratification, as we would call.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to ask you guys a question then. A lot of times we talk about pursuing your passion. What are you really passionate about? But there's also the reality of, again, money. things cost and all that, right? So how do we balance that out? How do we not become like a corporate slave? You go work in a corporate, obviously the pay and everything will be a lot higher, as opposed to if you pursue your passion in something which may not guarantee a lot of income or return at the beginning as you're starting out. So what are your thoughts on that? How do you balance that, pursuing passion but also acknowledging or facing reality? Yeah, what do you guys think?
I think I will share a little bit about my own journey too in this part, because this was a big thing for me too, picking between passion or profits. And so for me, when I first graduated, I studied accounting and finance, and at the time I wanted to get rich, drive a nice car, live in a big house, all of that, as all accountants do, want to. And I think right after university, I said, you know what, I want a small break to do what I'm passionate about. So that's why I worked in Generasi Gemilang. It's an NGO. And I told myself, I'm going to give it maybe 1 year at most, and then I'm going to go back into accounting and just earn as much money as I can. But the thing is, the moment I joined that NGO, God kind of confirmed for me that this is where I needed to be. So my first piece of advice would be, where is God telling you to be? And how God confirmed it for me, I'll just share very quickly, was at a camp, actually, a church camp. So make sure you sign up for your church camps. Amazing things happen there. A pastor who didn't know me at all came up to me, and this was the weekend that I got my job, and I was worrying about money. So I was thinking, I'm going to work in an NGO. My friends are earning 2 times more than me outside in big fancy corporate jobs. Yeah. And I was worrying about the money right when I got the job. And this pastor who didn't know me came up to me and said, the Lord told me, you have given up money and riches and treasure because of your heart, and because of that, you will be blessed. Wow. And that was the confirmation that I needed. Now, not everyone's journey is the same, but that was just my journey, where thankfully I managed to pursue my passion and also earn a decent income. I did transition to corporate after that. I was in an advertising agency for about 4 months. And the reason why 4 months was because I really didn't like it. It was a reality check. It was a corporate world reality check. So I was working 7 days a week, working till 10 p.m., 11 p.m. on most days. I would bring my laptop out and for dinner with family, and I'd open up my laptop and start doing work. It's that kind of a job. Yeah, my boss had emergency leave because her mom fell down, and at the hospital in front of the doctor, she's doing work with and on a team call. Yeah, so that's actually the reality, So when I went into the corporate world, this was the norm apparently. And I didn't like that. Of course, there are better companies out there to work for. You just need to find the right one. So to answer your question, passion or profits or what should you focus on? I think it really depends on what your passion is. For me, my passion was still profitable in regards to working with people, education, training. I'm currently doing a master's in counseling, so I want to work with people more in the future too. Wow. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to have a passion which pays. But if your passion is like, I don't know, collecting stamps or coins, then you have to like go on those Instagram profiles like, I'm a coin collector, do you want to buy my coins? Have you ever seen those? Yeah, I mean, if your passion's not profitable, sometimes you just have to do the practical thing and take care of your family, take care of your responsibilities as well. Yeah. But above all, listen to where God is leading you.
Yeah, I think when it comes to passion and being practical, like for a start, I think like I have this conversation a lot with people, and the conclusion that at least I believe in is give yourself 1 to 2 years to do what you're passionate about, and grow within that 2 years. But you must know that you're doing it for passion and not for the income lah. Unless like Richard said, it's passion that comes with profit. Yeah, but give yourself that 1 to 2 years for a start to do what you really want to do. But if it's still not giving you that career progression, then I think maybe it's time to sit down and just reevaluate, like if this is something that you would want to continue pursuing without earning as much profit, or you have to start being practical because of things that is yet to come in the future lah. Yeah, so I would say give yourself that 1 to 2 years, but give yourself that timeline. Yeah, and then if once the timeline is up, then yeah, if you have to reevaluate, then do what you got to do lah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's where internships also would play a huge part, going back to what you shared earlier, because some of us, we have a passion for, let's say, fashion. But the thing is, a lot of us, when we have certain passions for certain things, we only think about the ideals. We don't actually realize what it's really about.
Yeah.
So internship is kind of like a safe entry point to just get into the industry, get into the space of experiencing what it's like. I think there are a lot of people also, they say, oh, they want to serve God. Like they call it full-time ministry. But they think that serving God or having, being in full-time ministries, you get to just preach all the time, be on stage all the time. No, there's also
not.
the practical.
I thought you get paid to pray as a kid.
Yeah, so it's like really, I think that's where internships plays a huge part. But yeah, I just thought I want to add that. Shaun, have you got any thoughts?
Nothing too big to add. Like I think Leanne Richard already added. Said it. Yeah, because church worker now, full-time ministry. It is my passion, and a lot of people. But I especially what Richard said. Like follow what God is saying.
Yes.
Because a lot of people really go for passion and really no profit one. Not no profit lah, but I know of friends that are in ministry. They take a 70% pay cut just to be in ministry, just to do God's work. And it's not like the story is not like but people drop like 10K in my bank and God is so faithful. No, it's nothing like that. They are still earning whatever they can earn and supporting their kids, their whole family, but they believe that this is where God has called them to be, and with that 70% pay cut, that's the life they're gonna live, and that's the life they chose to live, and they know it full well, and they're very confident with that.
Yeah. I think it comes down to this saying, right, that money is a good servant but a terrible master. And we have to be so careful and conscious of whether we are actually serving God, or we are pursuing our passion, so to speak, or we are actually serving money. A lot of times, people think they have jobs, but actually their jobs have them. But it's not a matter of being irresponsible or skirting your obligations, but it's really, again, what you value in life. What are you valuing? There's this saying that goes, if you pursue your passion, if you just hone your craft, if you become good at what you good at what you are doing, profit and opportunities will automatically come your way. Because I think that is it may sound very idealistic and may sound to a certain extent impractical, but it's actually true.
Yeah.
If you're able to cut yourself off from all those distractions and all those temptations, even, I just focus on growing and upskilling yourself and learning. Ultimately, the right opportunity will come. The right job will come, or the right venture or business partner will turn up. So I think that's really important. Asking ourselves, what do we really value? So I think the goal of this episode is not to discourage people, but certainly we don't want to paint an unrealistic expectation of life. Because I think sometimes, if I'll be really honest, right, because sometimes I think when we preach certain things or we say certain things, it can come off as selling you a situation that doesn't exist. Pursue your passion, what and all that. What's your purpose? Because I think we need to redefine, actually. We need to redefine these two words, passion and purpose.
Yep.
I feel like we need that. Is a conversation, this is a different conversation for another day. But I think sometimes we need to redefine and deepen our understanding of what it really means to pursue our passion and to have a purpose. So
Yeah. That's good. And I think like I really, really love how we are able to touch a little bit on just obeying God when it comes to your passion as well, or like being practical and whatnot. Because I mean, I don't know if Chris will include this in or what, but I'll still share it. Like honestly, what I'm doing now is not my ideal career. I mean, sorry PJ, but like I think me being in church is really
letter right now.
You haven't found yourself yet. That's the issue.
I haven't traveled this year. Cannot travel. That's why. But yeah, I'm currently working in church under Society as well, and I definitely like this is not where I see myself long term, but it's really out of an act of obedience in my purpose in God lah. Like I know that He has placed me here for this season for a reason, and it was really a challenge for me. I think the reality of it is that sometimes if you are a Christian goer and you're like, okay, after I study, I don't know what to do, I'm just going to go work in church, you know, like that's the ideal. Like I'll just work in church and like find myself also, and maybe God will speak to me. And I don't doubt that. But for me, it was the complete opposite. Like I did not want to start out my career in church because like Richard so rightfully pointed out, I was so afraid of being left behind my peers in the career industry, especially where I want to be in. Because they're just all about vibrant, youthful people. But I'm scared that I will miss out my youthful times if I give 2 years to God. But I think that was really the challenge that God was placing in my heart. Like if you want to see better doors open, if you want to see greater opportunities come, are you willing to take this leap of faith to obey my command? And I think like at that moment I was like, okay Lord God, you say like that already, I don't really want to fight with you because it's scarier, right? So I said yes. And I think like definitely my first year being in church has really taught me so much, even though it wasn't like my passion per se, but it really gave me a lot of purpose in why I do what I do. And even like the experiences that I gained from church is applicable to if I were to go anywhere else. And I think like being working in church for a second year, I've really seen God's faithfulness because last year I was thinking of applying to Sephora actually, and like I had a friend who could refer me, but like it there's no guarantee. But then like after saying yes to God for another year, He really opened a better door because another friend approached me and said, hey, I have a direct contact to the person that's in charge and I can just send your resume straight. And I was like, whoa, this is so much better than getting referred to by my friend who's like just a normal worker, you know? And I was just so amazed because like after saying yes to God, He really open better opportunities for me, and I didn't even see it coming. But it's really that step of faith and obedience that you choose to take lah. Which I feel it's scary, it's challenging, but that really shows like what you place your values and beliefs in also. So it was quite like a testimony, I would say, for me. And a very like God awakening awareness moment lah.
I mean, scripture itself promises, right, in Matthew chapter 6, where I'm paraphrasing, but you know, the Bible, Jesus said that, you know, if God can take care of the field and the lilies, you know, and the birds in the air, how much more will He actually take care of you? Because He cares for you. And I think that is true, that God provides. God may not provide all that we want, but certainly I can testify that God will provide all that we need. And that's the kind of God that we serve and that we worship. And it's really, again, the ball is in our court. Will we trust in God, even though sometimes we cannot see how it will pan out? Because because that's not trusting, right? If we tell God, if we ask God, give me how exactly it will turn out, and then I'll trust you. That's not faith, right? But we can trust Him, and I think that's a testimony for Leanne, for Richard, for myself as well, and I think certainly for Shaun and anybody who would really follow God. And I think one thing that just kind of like before we kind of like summarize and we close up, and I do want to just get more of your thoughts. But one thing I would say is that I think apart from budgeting, learning how, because we talked a little bit about that, budgeting, realizing how much things cost, and also tracking and all that, I want another thing to kind of like get into, which I wish I had gotten into a lot earlier, is really supplementing your income, because for me, I always thought that this is how you get money. You get paid a salary, and then you save it, and you just save it, right? And then maybe one day you can buy like a house, and then hopefully, or you invest in property, and then maybe that property will increase in value, and then you sell it off, make a profit. But that's actually legitimate, and it's a good form of investment, definitely, no doubt. But the problem with property is that the entry point is very high.
Yep.
To be able to get a profitable or somewhat guaranteed profitable property is really, really high. Because you talk about 10% down payment, you're looking at, even if a property which is like 500,000, 10% down is like 50 grand. So supplementing your income and everything like that, that's something that is good to learn. So maybe I'll get you guys to just share a little bit, because I know you all have a little bit interest. I know Richard, you have
Richard!
you got
Richard
into
class.
He runs classes.
Pluck,
How do you pronounce it? Millennials?
Millennials, yeah.
Millennials.
Millennials.
Genius. It's great.
Which actually Richard's class did get me started in the investing world. I mean, he look at that. Richard's so proud of teacher.
So happy to
Testimony,
hear that.
testimony.
Yeah.
He did
I hope
start-
you don't lose money lah.
I hope so too lah. So he did start me like I started last September, and it was just a introduction to what you can actually do, and like one of Richard's main selling points is you don't need a lot of money to do this, and I'm like, that's me. I don't have a lot of money, and then I started it, right. But as you get into it, the internet is so big. Like you can actually Google a lot of things, and you can start discussing with your friends about it, about like really just investing in all sorts of things. Like go to Richard's class and he will explain a little bit more lah. Or you can go to Richard's brother's class and he'll explain the more fun part about it, crypto, cryptocurrency.
He's like a Bitcoin evangelist.
Like Bitcoin, all these things.
Personally, something not that I would really encourage, but I mean, if you have a huge risk appetite, go for it.
Yeah, it really is huge risk. It big, but it's just educating yourself, and like really you have really no excuse to say like, oh, I don't know anything, or this is what my father used to do. Let him just keep doing lah. But I think like what I mentioned earlier is, if you are looking at long-term sustainability, and if you actually want to buy the things you want, maybe this is something you want to venture into. I don't know, Richard, what do you have?
I think super important nowadays to have a second stream of income. That's what I have at the moment. So stocks is like one of my favorites. Cryptocurrency as well, but again, very high risk. Recently started looking at plantations as well. So chili plantations. So I get paid to invest in plants.
Yes.
That's pretty fun, and I can't wait to go visit that after the
So eat
MCO.
more chili, guys. You're helping Richard out.
Yeah, go boost the demand. I think it can be fun. Investing doesn't have to be all boring. It is a fun way to save your money and watch it grow faster, much faster. But don't expect to get rich quick.
Yeah.
A lot of people come in with the mindset like, I want to get rich today. No, it might take you 10 years, 20 years, 30 years before you see the big bucks come in. And I think whenever I teach my investing class, this is something I always tell my participants, and I end with, and these can be almost like my closing thoughts for today. It's like, actually, the keyword that we need is contentment. And maybe I'll ask you guys a question, a fun question, see if you guys remember it from my class or not.
Oh no.
On average, how much money or what net worth do you think you would need to make it into the top 10% of richest people in the world? So maybe
already.
Pastor John, you can take a stab at this
Forgot.
first.
I'm so sorry, but I forgot.
What net worth would you need to be the top 10% in the world?
What net worth?
Yeah. So like all your assets added together minus all of your loans and
Top 10 in the world.
Yeah, top 10%.
I'm just gonna gonna have a go. 1 million ringgit.
1 million ringgit. Lian?
Yeah.
How about you?
Just back
That 1.5 million.
Ringgit as well?
Yeah.
All right, Shaun?
Yeah.
I got 1 million ringgit also.
Right. So the actual answer was 400,000 ringgit.
There we go.
Oh,
Yeah, and a lot of people are surprised. So usually when I run this in my class, people say like, oh, you need 10 million, you need 50 million. Some people even go into the billions. And I'm just thinking like, that's the problem, isn't it? We always make upward social comparisons and we look at that top 0.1% like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and we think, oh yeah, there's a lot of them out there. But actually we forget we're already so blessed and we already have way more than enough. I think all of us here in this call today and most of you watching are probably going to make it into that top 10% at some point in your life. We just don't realize it. Yeah. And that's something that when I realized that, the feeling of being content with what I have, it was a huge blessing to me personally. And it came from my previous job as well, working in an NGO. When you see how little others have, and you think, I like I mentioned, I told you I was earning very little. I thought I was earning very little, under 3K. I felt so poor. And then I visit these communities and I hear people working for 40 years and earning 1,800 ringgit. And I'm like, huh? I earn more than you, but you've been working for 40 years? That's insane. Yeah. Contentment is the key word for me.
Yeah. I mean, the Bible itself says, I think it's 1 Timothy 6, either verses 6 or 7, where it says, godliness with contentment is
wealth.
Great gain.
Great gain, yeah.
Great gain, great wealth, and I feel like contentment is an ongoing thing though. It's not like you will reach a state of contentment and then you'll be forever content. No, it's really it's a process. It's like an everyday learning to. I mean, that's why the Bible says you have to take up your cross daily and die to yourself. Yeah, because that's quite often. I think that's the whole in line with being grateful. Yeah. The state of being grateful is also not I reach this state, I'm just so grateful all the time. No, you have to remind yourself, point out the things, reflect on the things of why, or give thanks for the things, or why you are, or for what you're grateful for. So
and a huge chunk of Jesus's ministry, we think is like he's gonna condemn all the prostitutes and the sexual people, but a huge chunk of his ministry is he's there rebuking the people who love money. You had to serve God or money. He was really greed was a huge part of Jesus' ministry, and that's something he focused on, and that's a lot in us. Like we might feel like, oh man, I'm such a liar, or I'm such a blah blah blah, whatever other category of sin you can think of, but Jesus knew, and because he's God, that the underlying, there's a lot of us have greed. A lot of us really think of money more than we think of God. And I think the Lord has summed that up.
I mean we've kind of like gone for a bit already, so I think we should kind of like just sum up real soon. But I'll sum it up by saying, at the end of the day, there are the practical steps, right? Like the budgeting, the tracking, and even investing. I think just now, a lot of people feel like it's a very scary thing, like wow, investing is a big word. But I think for most of us, even for myself, and Richard, you can attest to that. Join Richard's class is taking small steps. Just getting educated. I think that's a big word there. Getting educated, learning and growing, and this big scary world of finances and all that out there, adulting and all that. It's only scary because it's the unknown. There are a lot of things that we are not sure of. But I think if we equip ourselves, if we learn and we grow, it's something that we can just kind of like we don't have to be overwhelmed by it. We can overcome, right? So what any remaining thoughts from you guys? Any closing thoughts or comments?
Mine would be Richard's, to be content. That's all.
Leanne, anything that you want to just add?
I think if anything or anyone were to take something from today's episode, like it will really be contentment lah, like what we said at the end, and to not be greedy, because it's easy to want things, especially when you see what other people have, but you need to really look and assess at what you have, because I like I said at the start, I love shopping. I'm a shopaholic, and it's so bad. It's bad, but I think this year, one thing I want to do is be more aware of how I spend my funds. And that's something that I actually do actively every day, or every week at least. Like I will sit down and I will write down one thing that I'm grateful for. Like, what are you grateful for? Like, you don't even have to write it down sometimes. Just think about it. Ask yourself today, what is one thing that I'm grateful for? And like, when you look at it holistically, if you actually do write it down for the entire year, you realize that you actually have so much more, that everything around you, like, that you need to use with money, you will feel like, man, I actually don't need this thing. I don't need a new iPhone. I don't need new shoes. Like, I really don't. It really just shifts your whole perspective when you actively practice being content and not being greedy. Having the attitude of gratitude. Yeah.
Yep.
I think helps a lot.
Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to just share your thoughts and to be with us. If you guys have any more questions, especially when it comes to investing and all that, Richard is definitely the guy to hit up. You know, he's got a great introductory class, just some place that you can start on if you don't know where to start. So free plug for you there, Richard. But hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Society TV, now available as a podcast too. I'm John, I'm signing off.
I'm Shaun, I'm signing off.
I'm Rich.
I'm Leanne.
That could be like my pickup line. Hi, I'm Rich.
Yep. Well, you have it, folks. That's who we are. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again soon. God bless. See you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.